Danny Kruger.
Very grateful, Sir Roger. It's a pleasure to serve under you, and I look forward very much to the process of this committee and to working with honourable members to do what we can to ensure a good bill is presented back to the House. I very much respect the points made by the honourable lady. Nevertheless, I do think there are some real objections to the motion, so I want to encourage members to oppose it. The fact is this debate was due to be held in public. The expectation was that it would be held in public. In fact, people have travelled here in the expectation that they'd be able to attend and observe our debate on the sittings motion. Last night, for reasons we don't fully understand, a decision was clearly made to table a motion that we do sit in private, and I'd be grateful to understand why that decision was made so late. My general point is that there is a clear public interest case that the public should understand why the witnesses that have been chosen, why some have not, and if there are concerns about the witness list, they should be aired publicly. The fact is, this is the only time that the public are being consulted, that the experts from outside Parliament have a chance to contribute to our deliberations. And I fail to understand, Sir Roger, why those discussions can't be held in public. And indeed, the only argument that I can imagine, and the Honourable Lady made it, is that members might be for some reason uncivil about potential witnesses. They might speak disrespectfully about witnesses, which I don't for a moment actually believe, and I'm sure that, Sir Roger, you or the other chairs will keep us in order throughout these proceedings. We are here to talk about the overall balance of the witness list and the particular qualifications of members. And looking at the list which was presented this morning by the Honourable Lady, I do have very serious concerns about them, which I think it is right that should be aired publicly about this overall list. We have 8 witnesses from foreign jurisdictions who are being called to give evidence from abroad. All of them are supporters of assisted dying in their jurisdictions. We have no people speaking against the operations of assisted dying laws internationally. We have 9 lawyers on the list, all of them, with the exception of 3 who appear to be neutral, all of them are in favour of a change in the law. There's not a single lawyer against this bill. Sir James Mumby was suggested. I understand he's been removed. There may be a perfectly good reason for that, but he had spoken against it. There's nobody from deaf or disabled people's organisations, whereas the UN Convention on the Rights of Disabled People recognises the importance of engaging with these organisations in laws of this nature. And with the exception of Dr. Jamila Hussain, there's no one on the witness list who can speak to the equality impacts of assisted dying.
Order. Thank you. I appreciate that the Honourable Gentleman, and indeed all members of the committee, received the final version of these documents fairly late in the day. And I'm not unsympathetic to hearing what any member wishes to say. But now the Honourable Gentleman is going rather further down the brief than I think he is probably entitled to. It is a very narrow motion on the order paper. The question is quite simply that the House should sit in private.
Understood, Sir Roger. I accept your reprimand. I was trying to make the case that these are arguments which I think should be acceptable to be heard in public, but I take your point. Let me address the specifics of the motion that we sit in private. And the point has been made that it is appropriate and in fact common for bill committees, for committees to consider sitting motions privately. In fact, public bill committees that consider private members' bill do not sit in private to consider a sittings motion. That should be the starting point. Members may claim, and I've heard this made, I think the Honourable Lady made it, that it's like a programming subcommittee on a government bill, but it's not. Government bills have a sittings motion that is agreed in the usual channels between the whips of each side, which often obviously does happen privately. And the way it works then is that both sides pick their witnesses, they suggest witnesses that they want, and the two sides agree to that. It then goes to a programming subcommittee, which usually takes a couple of minutes just to rubber stamp the decision that's been made. But then, crucially, the citizens' motion does then come to the whole committee for the opportunity for the whole committee to discuss what is being decided on in the programming subcommittee. So there is the opportunity for a public consideration of the schedule of witnesses made in a government bill with a programming subcommittee. It's also been suggested that this is like the proposal is rather like the sort of private pre-meet that happens before particular sittings, evidence sessions, which of course I'm sure we'll be doing when we proceed to take evidence, we'll have little private meetings just to discuss which members go in which order, who's going to ask what questions. That's perfectly appropriate for a private discussion, I fully accept. But that isn't what this is. This is us discussing exactly who we are going to call, the overall timetable for our work. This is much bigger than just a discussion about who's going to ask which questions. It's about who the witnesses themselves are going to be. And I would point out that of the very limited number of private members' bills since 2010 that have had a large number of sittings, 5 or more sittings, the sittings motions were debated in public. That is the way it works, and I can list a whole load of them, which I won't bother the committee with. The fact is we had no discussion in usual channels. There are no usual channels in a private member's bill. Everybody in the committee was invited to submit suggestions to the Honourable Lady, which we all did, and we appreciate that invitation. The Honourable Member then made her choice. There wasn't a discussion about who they should be. There was just a decision that she made. It was a list was informally communicated last week, which is appreciated again. It's different to the list we have now. So we didn't have full advance notice of the list, which we only received at 10 o'clock this morning. It wasn't tabled in advance. It wasn't put onto the amendments paper. So we had no opportunity to prepare amendments to the schedule of witnesses or indeed to the sittings, the timetable that we're discussing today. Now, we can make manuscript amendments, and indeed I think that needs to happen. But it still does procedurally disadvantage those of us who have concerns about the bill. Last night, I and colleagues tabled a sittings motion in the absence of one that had come forward from the Honourable Lady, which I hope we'll have the opportunity to debate. And George, I'll finish with this. I'm afraid this issue does reflect a general concern I have about the process, why it's so important that we do debate the witness list publicly before public audience.
Coming back to public audience. Sorry, forgive me.
So I look forward to the opportunity to discuss, and I hope we can do it publicly. The fact is, just to make a general point about process, Roger, if you'll forgive me, just to wrap up. The fact is, this was a bill written by a campaign group. It wasn't. It had a significant input.
Point of order, Chair. That is categorically not true. It was a bill which was written with senior legislative expertise, along with myself as a sitting member of Parliament and esteemed colleagues, and I take that quite personally, offensively.
Order. Hang on a minute. Point of order has been raised. I think I better reply.
I do apologise for the point of order.
If only to say that's not a matter for the chair.
I apologise to Roger, and I apologise to the Honourable Lady for causing offence. I don't think we're going to. I hope she won't be offended when points are made that she disagrees with. And I'm very happy to withdraw the suggestion that this bill was written by a campaign group on the basis of her assurance that it was written by herself. And I hope it's not the case that there was significant input from campaigners. I don't see why there shouldn't have been. I just mentioned it because the fact is, this bill came to us with no formal consultation. There was no impact assessment. There was no.
Surely we are having a conversation about whether we sit in private or not. Can we keep to that matter?
Forgive me. I'm in the chair and I'll decide.
Apologies, Sir Roger.
But actually, the Honourable Lady is absolutely correct. Once again, I'm afraid the Honourable Gentleman is straying very wide of the motion on the order paper.
Okay,
I'd be grateful if he'd now come to his conclusion so we can start to move forward.
I absolutely will. Well, I think I'll finish there because the points I was trying to make are simply in the light of the fact that if the Honourable Lady's motion is accepted, the public will no longer have the opportunity to hear any of these points on the sittings motion, on the process that we're going to be deciding upon. So I do urge Honourable Members, and I genuinely want to...
Point of order, Sir Roger. That again is factually incorrect. We've already said that there will be a private sitting for private conversations about individual witnesses, some of which he's already started talking about, and then there will be opening again to the public so everybody here can hear the conversations of the committee.
Order. Once again, that's not strictly a matter for the chair, so therefore it's not a point of order, although it is now a matter of record. We are going to spend quite a lot of time together. No. Thank you. We're going to spend quite a lot of time together. And I think it would be helpful if, reflecting the tone of the debate that took place on the floor of the House,
Hear, hear.
Order, we were civil and courteous to each other, and that the debate was conducted throughout not only these proceedings, but right throughout the entire committee stage with customary candour and decency. And if we can manage that, accepting that these are highly divisive issues and that strong feelings are held on both sides of the argument, we might just end up with a conclusion that satisfies most, if not all, people. Danny Kruger.
Thank you, Sir Roger. I genuinely don't want to cause any distress or offence to the Honourable Lady. I simply am doing my job, which is to represent my genuine concerns about the process that we are deciding on today. I think it is not appropriate to be sitting in private. And just to finish with a response to the Honourable Lady, I don't believe it is the case that we'll have the opportunity to discuss in public the sittings motion. We are deciding that in private according to her intention. There isn't going to be the chance to debate publicly the list of witnesses or the timetable that we're going to follow. We're going to do that privately according to her intention. So be it. If honourable members in the committee want to proceed down that line, that's what we'll do. And I look forward to that discussion, which I'm sure we'll have courteously. But I do encourage honourable members to vote against this motion. Thank you.